Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, how are you?
Did I end up in the right section? I was afraid might not have the right link.
No, you're in the right place.
Okay, good. Uh, we're all still in the same spots. I feel like I've left my room for days.
Yeah, nobody's moved.
Hi, Cindy.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I got the big outing today.
Good. How did it go?
Woo, it was fantastic. It was so exciting. For real.
Sydney, do you have some sort of a desk lamp or something you could put in front of you just so you get some front light? You're kind of, with the backlight, it's hard to see you.
All right. Let me try and move.
That's better.
Is that a little better?
Yeah.
I feel like there's this light coming right down on my
I was
head.
just gonna say, you look really angelic.
Oh!
It might be a good move.
I'm gonna have to think of a different angle too. I don't have a lot of options because I put all the other people in the house in different places.
Yeah.
They're all occupied right now.
Yeah.
Oops, so that's not gonna work.
Hey. Yeah, that's
Right
good.
now there's two lights.
With the daylight coming on you, that's good.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's good. Good.
And now we wait. Oh, we got 18 participants.
Chris.
There's Chris.
Hi, Chris.
A lot of cats are fighting. Excuse me for a second.
Nan's letting us know that they can hear us. Hi, everybody.
Thanks for coming, Nan.
And everyone. Nice
Yeah.
I'm back.
Okay, we've just got about another minute. We'll see. Karen Islander is going to sign on too to talk about some health questions. So we'll just give it a little bit more time before we get going. This is a suspenseful night in the Leggett house too, because this is college acceptance decision night.
Oh boy.
There's a whole host of schools that email applicants at 8 o'clock. So
Eastern
Countdown on.
Eastern time.
yes, so that's been the talk of the day.
Yes. So we'll need to make sure to end by 8.
Or you'll see Sophie running around behind me. Oh, there's Karen.
Hey.
Hi, Karen.
Hello.
Oh, good. We can hear you.
Yay.
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 That works better.
Okay, so it's a little bit after 7. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for being here for our weekly parent check-in. And I do have to say a couple of things that I have to say at the beginning of every meeting. One is that we will have likely more than 3 board members on this meeting, and we're just saying this is not a board meeting or a decision-making meeting. They're acting in the role of parent or community member in this case. And I also wanted to just start with a couple of positives. I have to say that I've been in contact with a lot of different agencies and organizations around the state this week, and I just continually hear from every single one of them that the way that Grantham is handling this is exemplary, and that we are a model for for the way that a lot of other places could look to for some ideas about how to make the best of this situation and how to make things work. So a big shout out to everybody, and the list is too long for people to thank, but thank you so much, because this really has taken everybody to get this to the place that it is now. And a quick shout out to our amazing food service team and our custodial staff, who are really still on the front lines, and they're in the school and they're doing the cleaning protocols and they're getting food out to people, and they're just doing an absolutely amazing job. They're making sure, like all of us, that people are cared for in every way that we can care for them. So I'm sure the first thing on everybody's mind that we're going to jump right to is the announcement today from Governor Sununu that schools will now be moving or continuing the distance learning, remote learning through May 4th. So if you haven't already heard that announcement, I do like, May the 4th be with you. Thank you very much for putting that in the chat. Yeah, so we are looking at that extension, and I know for a lot of people, I heard from a lot of people right away when that announcement came out this afternoon, and I heard from a lot of people that, you know, we're going to make it work, we're going to do it, but it's also a new reality. It also is a new way of looking at what the next month is going to look like. So we hope that you give us a lot of feedback about that tonight as well. A couple of things, just a quick announcement is Grantham is providing free and reduced lunch to all Grantham free and reduced lunch students, but I want to make sure that everybody also remembers that if you have a student in grades 7 through 12 at Lebanon, that you can also request a meal through the Lebanon School District at no cost to you, and we'll be sending information out about that in the newsletter. So that's also another option available for you. We certainly are thinking a lot about the fact that people's work conditions are changing and needs are going to be changing probably every day, every week, you know, over the next month. And we're going to try and make sure that we can do everything that we can to help you get through these changing times. So we're going to change with you. And one of the things that the commissioner did tell us yesterday, we had a commissioners meeting with superintendents, is that when we do return, because we still have to remember that even though we have an announcement about a new normal today, when we do return, because we will return to school, he will give us plenty of notice and plenty of transition for when that's going to happen. A couple of things that I'm going to bring up a little later, just so you know, things that are on our minds are, we've talked a little bit to the staff about whether we need to do a resupply to everybody, and I'll fill you in on those feelings about that. And we also have been talking a little bit about April vacation, so we'll be talking a little bit about that later too. So what I want to do is we have some people who are technically our panelists tonight, and thank you for being here. And so before we jump into those other things, I want to make sure that they have a a chance to say a few words to you. I think I'm just going to start with Chris Widman, our school counselor, because we have been hearing feedback from parents that they've been seeing some behaviors rise at home with the kids. And so Chris is ready to speak to that a little bit. Thanks, Chris.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I would imagine that this week, given the more that we find out about our schedules, it's becoming more stressful and more overwhelming than it was last week when we might have thought it was just a short temporary thing. You may be seeing a lot more emotions and behaviors with your children at home. And I would encourage you to check with your child's teacher and just make sure that what they're saying is a problem for them at home, as far as if it's academic, that it's not something that they're more than capable of doing. It might be that they're just trying out some new behaviors on you. It also could be that they're just trying to adjust to the new structure. As their structure kind of develops, it's important for, first of all, it's really important to develop a structure, because I think everybody really needs to know what's coming next and have that predictability. Create a schedule. Have your children create a visual schedule for themselves. I think it'll be good for them to know what's coming next. They can make pictures. They can take pictures. Whatever makes it their own, so that they can have it and kind of make it be part of their day. The more independent that they can be with their school day, the better they'll embrace it. And they do it all the time at school too. So just keep in mind that they're very capable when they're here at school. Let's see, when you're making your schedule, make sure that there are spots in all of your schedules for fun, family time, and sleep. Make sure you're all going outdoors, having some fun, connect with friends virtually, and have some virtual play dates. Keep having the family meetings so you can problem solve and brainstorm different disputes that you might be seeing at home, or different problems with the schedule that come up during the week. So just recently, Heather posted Lynn Lyons' videos on managing anxiety on our GVS Facebook page. Lynn is an expert in managing children's anxiety, and she just recently came up with these videos that she posted in response to the coronavirus. So I would recommend that you watch those. She recommends answering your children's questions with developmentally appropriate information, being aware of your own anxiety and what you might be modeling for your children, and being really aware of what they're watching on the media and what you might be watching on the media. What we watch as adults can really increase our anxiety, and we have to make sure that we're really aware of how much we're watching. She had some specific examples of encouraging flexibility and building problem-solving skills during this time of uncertainty. And I really like some of these that she mentioned in her first video. Ask all the family members at dinner time, what's the unexpected thing that happened in our house today, and how did you deal with it? Everyone answers at dinner, and you get to write it on a Post-it note and create your own wall of flexibility. You can add to that throughout the day as you notice your child handling some tricky situations. Encourage everybody to do 3 things every day to brighten someone else's day. And then that's another thing you can share at a family dinner. To help minimize sibling rivalry, she suggests that you create a paper chain of sibling love. Every time you see siblings getting along and being kind, write it on a strip of paper and start making a paper chain. Kids can start writing things on there too when they notice a sibling being especially nice. See how long you can make it grow. Give yourself some time for fun, for relaxation, and for rebooting. I'll be checking in with your kids next week. I sent out links to your children's GVS email accounts for the lunch bunches and chat groups that are going to be starting next week. And I would also encourage you to email me if you see that your child is struggling, if you're noticing an increase in emotions, or if you're really struggling with some new behaviors. Make sure you email me, kwidmann@gbshawks.org. We can chat, I can chat with your child, and we can brainstorm some solutions through email. I think we'll get through this. We just have to all hang in there, and we're all in it together. Thanks, Cindy.
Great. Thank you very much, Chris. And please don't hesitate to get directly in touch with Chris if you have some specific questions, obviously. I think I'm going to go over to Karen Islander next. Karen, can you offer a few thoughts about keeping us all healthy?
I think as everybody knows, social distancing, stay 6 feet away from anybody outside your household. Washing your hands, covering your cough, covering your sneezes. They're now recommending that if you are possibly have COVID home and don't get tested, you need to wait 7 days after your symptoms present, and also 72 hours after your fever has resolved or symptoms have resolved till you are out in public again. So just to stay home if you're sick, wash your hands, cover your cough, just hunker down.
Great. Thanks. Heather, do you want to go next and talk about some of the great things that you've seen in classrooms this week?
Yeah, I want to first commend all of our students, staff, and families for being so proactive and problem solving. And every time a glitch comes up, a number of brains get on the problem and things get worked out. Our support staff, our whole staff, we're all here to help you. So if you're having a struggle, I know that I noticed some parents talking on Facebook the other night, and it was really nice to see parents supporting each other. But just know that if you're feeling like the workload is too much, or it's too much screen time for your child, reach out to us, because we're happy to help try to solve whatever problems are coming up. It's also important to remember that we aren't that far into this, so we need to give ourselves a little slack and know that the routines are building, and it's a little better each day. And I know that I've been in different classrooms and being able to see how things have changed from the beginning of the week until today, even small improvements, little tweaks. The feedback that we're getting from parents is helping us to make those changes. If you have a child who needs a little extra one-on-one, also let us know about that, because I know certainly I miss the kids as much as they're missing school. I'd be happy to have some Zoom time or a Google Hangout with a small group of kids, or an individual student, or a parent. You're welcome to get in touch anytime, but just know that even though we're not physically in the same place, you're not alone, and that we're all in it together, and it's a little easier each day. So know that we're here for you. So thanks for all that you're doing. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Randy, we're going to skip over to you to see if you have any general technology things that you'd like to put out to everybody.
Sure. Just to follow up on what Heather was talking about, we are still in the figure it out phase for a lot of things. We've gone through the initial wave of getting everybody connected. We've had classes going. People seem like the tech is working for them. The volume of calls coming into the help desk has dropped to a trickle of very specific problems. So that's good. What I did want to say is that you need to be thinking about speaking up if you have a problem. A lot of people are suffering in silence. So if you do have a problem, please don't be afraid to send an email to help@gvshawks.org. I keep all of those tickets open until I come to some sort of a resolution. But I think we're moving along pretty well with all of the tech generally. Yes, it's very overwhelming for sure. I think a lot of classrooms are working hard on individual assignment issues they might be having. We're using Google Hangouts a bit more. We've turned the video on for that for all the students. So now they have the ability to call anybody who's in the GVS directory using Google Hangouts, including each other. So if there's a group of friends, yes, it's classwork stuff. If they're going to work together on some homework, they're welcome to do that. I know some people have been having some issues turning in homework, everything from using notes on their iPhone to taking photos with the Chromebook. I'm going to make a little video about how to use your Chromebook camera to take a picture and upload homework, that sort of thing. But overall, I think things have settled down a little bit. They're going to get into some of the more persistent issues, but again, use help@gvshawks.org is a way to get help from me. And also remember, your kids are digital citizens. Remind them about safe, respectful, and responsible, and we'll go from there. So I appreciate all the effort all the parents are putting into. I know this is all very overwhelming. Please don't give up, okay? We are here to help. If you're stuck, don't just quit. Send me a note and I'll do everything I can to help you. So thank you, Sydney. That's all I have.
Okay. Thanks to all of you. And I think it goes without saying that we're all here to help, because we're all here to get through it together. And, you know, many of us are in the same exact situation where you are, where we're working from home and we have kids at home, and there really is a lot of juggling and some flexibility required on all fronts. So I've talked with a lot of our teachers and a lot of our parents and a lot of our other specialists, and you know, the key really is going to be, as we said last week, it's going to be communication and flexibility. So if we know that if something's going on, we're going to be problem solving with you, and we're going to figure out a way to be flexible about it, you know, every step of the way. I read one thing today that said, just remember, we're not all supposed to be experts at this today. You know, even though I would say we're doing incredibly well, we don't all have to expect to be experts today, right now. We're all learning as we go through this. So I'm going to ask if there's any questions that anybody wants to put in chat before I go into those last few topics for the night. If anybody has something pressing before we move on.
Sydney, I did see one question about, hey, all this stuff on Facebook, I'm not on Facebook, how do I find out about it? It actually works the other way around. Whenever we have an announcement, I'm sticking it right on the front page of the GVS website. I'm sometimes updating that multiple times a day. So it goes there first, and then we put an alert in Facebook saying, hey, go look at the website. So the website is our clearinghouse for information. Go there first. That's where I post it first.
Great. There's some other comments in there about Vermont. Just learned about that. I'm hoping my daughter doesn't know that yet, because she's a senior in high school. And the Facebook, someone asked about having a lunch bunch solely for children who have parents who are healthcare workers and away from an extended period of time right now. That's a great idea. And Chris, maybe you can work that out. There's also a couple of other childcare things that are going out around the state. We're going to try and put those in our newsletter for you home tomorrow. We did say we're going to promise to try and consolidate everything into a newsletter tomorrow. So Heather's going to be sending that out. But there are a couple of phone numbers and websites that you'll be able to go to where the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, and in partnership with the New Hampshire government, is going to try and do a lot to help essential personnel who are having childcare issues start to figure those things out. Okay. Okay. So we're going to, Chris, did you want to add something in there?
I think I do want to add, if you are a healthcare worker and you have a child that you would want in a lunch bunch like that, can you reach out to me so I know who to put in there? I could definitely have a lunch bunch specifically for that.
Okay. I want to tell you a couple of other things that are going on right now, you know, besides the huge thing, but we do need to, I think it's probably obvious to everybody, we do need to postpone parent-teacher conferences that are scheduled for next week. I'm sure that that's probably not at the top of everybody's list, no matter where you turn. What we're going to do is we'll revisit that at our all-staff check-in on Monday. We'll try to figure out what the best plan is going to be for that, and then we'll give you the information. I do know there's a lot of communication happening between teachers and parents right now anyway, but we do still want to make sure that we offer you that individual time for you to talk about your kids' progress. So we'll give you some more information about that, hopefully this time next week when we're on this call. We did also talk about, since we talked about this last Monday with the expectation that we probably would be extended in the distance learning. So we talked at our weekly check-in about whether we would need to go back into the school to do another resupply, where we load up another set of materials and we do the drive-through with the bags and send them home. The feedback from staff, not entirely, but the majority of the feedback from staff was that we feel we can do things without having to do that. I don't know if that's something that we may need to revisit now that we have this May 4th date. So we won't totally close the door on that idea, but as of where we were this week, we felt that we were able to do everything through technology that we would need to do, and that we would just continue to figure things out. Some of that has to do with just not wanting to have people together to do the transfer, to have staff in the building, to keep themselves safe, to keep our custodians safe as they're doing all of that cleaning. So we'll take all of those things into consideration. And of course, would love to hear your feedback on that as well. And the last thing that we've been talking a little bit about, and I've been in touch with both the superintendents in Lebanon and Plainfield, is that April vacation is coming up. And I know that a lot of you who had travel plans don't have those travel plans anymore. And the question came up of whether or not we continue having April break as it is, or if we think of maybe going straight through and changing things. Right now, it's looking as, and I have to tell you that the most important thing in this whole discussion is that Grantham, Lebanon, and Plainfield keep April break consistent, because families have had enough disruption, and we don't want to provide any more disruption by doing something with our break that they're not doing too. So right now, it's looking as if April break will stay where it is, that we will just have our regular April break. But I really do want to hear from you about your thoughts about that, to see if you have strong opinions about that either way. We're open and would be very interested in hearing what you have to say about that. But again, we want to make sure that families who have kids in those different schools don't have to juggle even one more thing on top of everything else that parents are already juggling. Okay. Any comments on any of those things? Oh, Heather, we have a question about report cards. Do you want to address that?
Sure. What we're working on right now is the staff is working on finalizing the report cards, and those will, Randy and I will get those emailed out to you. I don't know the exact date that we'll get them out yet. Actually, I might have that written down here. But they'll come as in an email to you directly. There was another question there that I wanted to address about the instruments. And the instruments, we aren't able to get into the music room at this time, but the music teacher is contacting the company for any parents. And we know that they're not coming to the school right now to pick up anyway. So we are in touch with them to work out something. I think that they're going to be very understanding about that.
Okay.
And I'll put more information about the report card date in the family letter tomorrow. I just don't have that right in front of me.
Yeah. So some comments coming in about the idea of April break. So Arlene is saying, after talking to my kids, they want and need it, and seeing some of the kids she's working with, a week-long break. Everybody could use a week of downtime. You know, maybe we need to all regroup. Jen Ferland asked, if we continued school through April break, would it impact the last day of school? Yes, it would likely impact the last day of school at this point, but we're also still very much hoping that we're coming back from this. You have no idea how much everybody wants the kids to come back and school to reopen and we can see everybody. So we're hoping that if we do get to go back on that May 4th date, that we don't have to end school early at the end of the year too. I would not be opposed, Barbara and I would not be opposed to keeping a consistent schedule for the kids and having them continue with schoolwork rather than having a break that they cannot enjoy, which is also a good point. And Crystal Darling, I'm a teacher and we are having spring break as far as I know. it would be nice to have a clear break for me with both my remote teaching and helping the 2 boys. Although I can do whatever is decided, you'd still get a half a break. Yeah. And isn't it, yeah, we would all be thrilled with even a half a break at this point. So if we continue, yeah, so the last day of school, we talked a little bit about that question. Let's see, seniors want to comment from seniors want to keep it going so they can maybe go back to school in May and maybe have more time with their friends. It would also impact a lot for our Lebanon seniors in terms of if we do get to go back prom and graduation and awards nights and all of those kind of things that are coming up. And thank you very much for this feedback because this is all really helpful.
I found the report card date. It's April 10th is the date we're shooting for.
Sydney, did you see the question about if we continue distance learning until the end of school?
Sorry, Karen, you were breaking up a little bit.
I think she was pointing out about if we did continue distance learning, what would be the last day of school?
Oh, I don't have that at the top of my head right now, but it would be impacted. So we are still, it's interesting. The guidance from the state is that we're not counting days, we're not counting hours because we're going for a continuity of learning. But the suggestion from some school districts that we continue going through April break would mean that they would probably look at their calendars. And if we did that, do the same thing and then decide on a date that would be earlier. But there's no such thing anymore as counting seat time the way that it would traditionally have been counted.
I think the question was if we still have April break and we go, would we keep our traditional, the last day of school as scheduled, or would that be something the board would decide later?
I think right now everybody's trying to do everything as scheduled, but this situation is so fluid, we could come back and revisit that. So sorry if I misinterpreted that question. Okay, any other feedback? We'd love to hear any comments about how you think it's going. And I know that you're all communicating with your classroom teachers, and that's definitely the best way to go, but anything for this group here, anything that you'd really like us to know that we can work on? Okay, April break. Any chance we could have a band practice? That's a great idea.
Unified Arts teachers are actually working on some special projects and some more things. They were giving classroom teachers a chance to get their routines established, but I think you're going to see more fun things coming from Unified Arts after next week. We figured we'd give a little chance for classroom teachers to get things rolling.
If you haven't been on the website to look at Ian's Dance Monkey video, everybody's really loving that.
And don't forget, he's got a new one going too. So go to the Unified Arts link right on there, and he's got a whole nother video with a whole nother thing people can participate in.
And starting next week, they're going to feature one Unified Arts area each day. So if the kids want to peek in at the website, the Unified Arts website, it will change each day. Oh, and it looks like our video is due Monday the 30th.
Okay. We don't have to have it in tomorrow?
I guess not.
You get the weekend.
Ian extended us our deadline.
Excellent.
He's giving us
flexible.
Thanks, Ian.
Is Emily listening? It's asking our spring sports canceled. That'd be the recreation department.
Yeah, I don't know if Emily is here.
Okay. I really like, Kirsha, thanks for putting in. Thank you for the routine of school and seeing familiar faces has been really great for our children. Thank you for putting that comment in, because I think we all need to remember, this continuity of learning concept is because this is the best thing for kids. Having them see each other, continuing to learn, having some normalcy in their day, it's doing a world of good for them and for their anxiety and for keeping us together as a school community and keeping our classes together. It's doing more things than we can even see. There was another question earlier, I was scrolling it up, about suggestions for teaching students who have special learning plans. What I would suggest is you get directly in touch with your child's case manager or Madeline Crudo-Burke, our special education director, because they are doing an incredible job of individualizing plans even more than they are usually individualized. And when we found kids who need additional help, we're usually able to get somebody one-on-one to work with them via Zoom or via phone, or going over reading together. So we will make sure that we can make that happen for you too. Okay, does anybody have any last comments before we say goodnight for our second parent check-in? I feel like it was, when I first started doing this, I don't know if any of you were Star Trek fans, but I thought I should do like a captain's log. Day 2 was last Thursday. This is day 9, and we're doing fantastic.
Now that we're going to even longer into May, I still have emergency medications in my office. If any of the families are on inhalers or whatever, I'm sure that we could get Scott into my office to rescue those.
Okay, great. Well, make sure you're in touch. You don't have to wait for Thursday nights to ask questions or get in touch. We would love to hear from you. We're all around, as you know.
All day, every day.
Yep.
So really, don't hesitate.
We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're here for you. Oh, there's one Q&A that just came up. Just a thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, really, all of you. Okay, we'll check in again next Thursday. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.